of like if Indiana Jones and Die Hard had a baby, and that movie baby grew up on an island somewhere. That's right, today we're going to be talking about the 2018 adventure movie Tomb Raider. This movie is directed by Uthaug and is written by Geneva Robertson-Dworet and Alastair Siddons. Tomb Raider is starring Alicia Vikander as Lara Croft. This movie is rated PG-13 for sequences of action and violence and some language. Alright, so now that all of that's out of the way, you may have noticed I have someone with me today. So my dad, Mark, is here to join me in talking about Tomb Raider. I'm very excited. We've both filled out our grids. We're going to go through it and talk about Tomb Raider.
Let's do this.
Alright, so the first category in the grid is going to be writing, plot, and genre.
Well, the movie followed so closely with the 2013 reboot of the game series that it was almost predictable. Because, in my mind, because it followed so closely to something, to a game that I played, I remember playing.
See, and I played the older ones, but I never did get into the newer ones. Yeah. It's always a fine line with adaptations. Yeah. I think that's why comic book movies have, they've got it down. They take some elements and change it completely, and the
trick, I think, is to find the right elements to keep and the right elements to enhance and add a new something to it. I'm not sure this movie really added anything new to that genre. I don't know.
It's definitely a step forward from the Angelina Jolie movies.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yes, it was. I thought the movie overall was perfectly enjoyable, but from a writing standpoint, I thought it was. I don't know if it's fair to say it was a little bit lazy because it just borrowed so much from the game.
I did like that they kept some nods in to the games. She was solving puzzles and things like that. Which was fun to see. I feel like that's one of the things that tends to get lost in video game adaptations. They took it a little bit too far when she started saying things like, this is a color puzzle.
Oh, yes.
That was a little silly.
Yeah. Sometimes they were a little bit more subtle, and you could see yourself, I remember that in the game, or I could see playing that in a video game. Yeah. And then other times it was like, well, she thinks she's playing a video game.
Yeah, exactly. And it did seem a little bit weird. I don't think this could be quite a plot hole, but definitely one of those plot conveniences.
Yes.
Where, they finally get to the tomb and, well, how do we open it?
Yes.
Did you even try turning the things? Because I'm awful at puzzles, and when I play video games, I know this isn't literally a video game, but to put yourself in that mindset, I just turn the things till something happens, because I'm awful at figuring out the puzzles, and they didn't even try. I'm like...
Speaking of plot holes, tell me what you think of this, because it struck me as... this is spoilers, right? We're talking about spoilers. So she finds all of her father's documents, all of the research, but he left that there and went to the island to try and...
I thought that was a little strange as well.
Yeah. Because why would he leave all of that important information behind?
And,
anyway.
And if it's something that you can leave behind, why would she not leave it behind as well?
Yes. She thought to bring it.
Right.
Why didn't he? Yeah.
Well, then I also... This isn't really a plot hole, but just something... I don't know, lazy, to use your word, or I don't know. There was just something off with the flashbacks. It was they kept showing her as a 6-year-old kid, and then saying it was 7 years ago. And I was like, wait, so how old is she supposed to be? And then way later they show, I'm like, oh, I guess she was a teenager when he left, because now we're seeing this.
Yeah, they weren't clear that he would constantly leave her.
Right.
It was one time. At first it seemed like it was one time that he left her.
Exactly.
And then it became clear much later in the movie that this was a regular occurrence.
Exactly. So I was thinking, is she supposed to be 17? What is happening?
Right.
I was like, that's not quite accurate.
Yeah.
And then I was confused because he tells her, if you find this, burn all the stuff. And I'm like, you're telling a 10-year-old kid to burn stuff. I'm like, oh no, she was older. Okay.
Yeah.
I was all ready to rant about that. And then it's like, okay, there was just a confused timeline. Yeah, overall, I thought the plot was about what you would expect with a movie like this.
What did you think of the pacing? Did you think it was slow at all? Because sometimes I got the impression that not much was happening.
I think that the chase scenes went on quite long, I think that maybe bogged down the pacing a bit.
Speaking of chase scenes, I think very early in the movie, the bicycle chase scene, where they're running after her on the bicycle, had nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
No.
But it had a certain entertainment value.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it did kind of show that she's resourceful. And
I guess that's what they were trying to set up.
But then they did the exact same thing when her bag was stolen in Hong Kong. It was like the exact same thing. Like, we already know she can
do that.
So I'm like, it looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain too much, but...
Yeah.
We already saw this.
Yeah.
I did kind of, this is going to sound bad, but I kind of liked that she got hit by the car after Chase killed her. It's like, these stupid punks are just endangering everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it looks cool, and I want to like her character, but there needs to be consequences.
Yeah.
But then there was, and so I was like, okay. My total category for the writing, plot, and genre is going to be a 6.9 out of 10.
Oh, wow. You were much more generous than I.
I usually am. I tend to be a little generous.
I came up with a 3.8.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You're harsh.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess.
I gave the highest score, actually, to the genre cliches, tropes, and twists. Because even though it did follow a lot of the tropes, it still felt fresh, and I kind of liked some of the twists. And not twists, but just, especially, I guess my main point of comparison is going to be to the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders, which I barely remember.
Yeah.
But remember, they were awful.
Yeah.
Alright, so the second category in the grid is going to be writing characters. This one of the things I noticed right off the bat is that there really wasn't an emotional journey for Lara Croft, which is pretty typical for the genre.
Yes.
But you would think, considering like her whole thing is to find her father, like that's such an emotional. There's already such an emotional attachment to that goal.
Right.
You would think there'd be a little bit of a character arc.
Right. And having, there, as we all know, there's so few movies with a very strong female lead.
Yeah.
That I think it would have been nicer if her motivation was to save the world rather than go save her father who wants to save the world. I just felt that you took a little bit away from the character by not giving her a significant motivation.
Yeah, that makes sense. And especially, I had read something, I had heard with the 2013 game, one of the biggest complaints was that they took this character, they made her younger and less experienced, which a lot of people were all for, especially because, body betrayal and, much more realistic, all that good stuff. But then to compensate for that, the game developers, they essentially released a statement. I wish I had saved it because it's pretty awful, but they were basically like our game players, they feel the need to protect Lara Croft, so we're going to make her more vulnerable so that the game players can have this relationship where they're, protecting her from danger instead of putting her in danger and making her powerful. Which I think they...
Oh, that's lame.
I know, it's really bad.
Yeah.
But I think they accidentally did something really cool.
Yeah.
So I went into this with that in the back of my head, and I do think, you have all the chase scenes where it's much more about, she's running away from danger or trying to avoid it.
Yeah.
But I thought she had a decent, with that in mind, by the end of the movie, we see her buy the guns, and she's like, all right, I'm going to take two. It's like, okay, I can see this. This is her origin story. She's going to develop. Right. She's going to get there.
Right.
So I liked that, but I think had I not read that, that quote and that viewpoint, I would have just been like, why is she just constantly running away from things?
I actually hadn't noticed the number of chase scenes, but now that you bring it up, there were a lot.
And I thought for sure, because you have at the beginning there's that boxing scene, so it's kind of setting up she's not the best fighter.
Right.
And I thought for 3 different people put her in a chokehold throughout the movie, and I thought for sure she would be like, oh, I've been in this situation, I can get out of it. And
right.
It's like, no, we're just seeing her get choked a lot. This is a little weird.
Yeah. They kept trying to hit us over the head with the idea that she's very new at this.
Right. Which is kind of nice. I don't know, we don't normally get that with an origin story. She's like, oh, now I have magical powers, I'm a superhero, awesome.
Yes.
So it was nice to see. I don't know.
Did you find Lara Croft to be a likable character?
I did, actually.
Yeah.
There's just something, and I think a lot of it just comes from, even though I was a little kid when I played the game, but just the attachment to the character going into it, they had a big advantage, and then they just cast a likable actor and a competent actor.
Yes, and I think she did a really good job, and I think she made the character likable too.
Yeah, I think she does have just a charismatic energy to her or something. It's just likable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. She was very interesting.
Didn't really have a whole lot to say about the dialogue. It was kind of just mediocre for me.
Yeah, I couldn't remember any lines that really stood out. Yeah. It was fine.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing memorable except it's a color puzzle. Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
That wasn't great.
Which I never really understood what the solution there was. She just kept trying different colors.
Well, the very last second, it was mixing blue and yellow to make green, the color of life, of course.
Oh, see, I missed that. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, she mumbled down her. She's like, yes, the color of life. Green! And got all excited, and then it worked. And we're like, all right, he mixed colors. All right, so anything else you want to add for the writing characters section?
I don't think so.
I'm going to let you go first, because I think you're going to have a much lower score than me again.
Probably. I averaged a 4.
It is 6.10.
Okay, well that's...
You're harsh. Or I'm generous, I don't know.
A little harsh.
Alright, well that brings us to the next category in the grid, which is going to be acting and casting. We definitely like Alicia Vikander as Lara Croft.
Yeah.
I think that was definitely a good casting choice, good acting.
I think so. I think the acting all around was fairly good. I
would agree with that, yeah.
Not to go backwards, but in some of the writing, I don't think that the villain was given enough motivation, enough reasons for his actions.
Yeah, his only motivation seemed to be to get off the island.
Yeah.
But presumably he volunteered to go on there, or had a job where it, if we had known why he was forced to go to the island to begin with, maybe that would have been a little better.
Yeah. But, I didn't quite understand what that villain character was all about. But I think that had more to do with the writing than it did the acting. I think he did a fine job.
I would agree with that, yeah. I thought I don't even remember his name, her sidekick, the captain of the boat.
I liked him. Yeah.
He was all right. I think he was... There were times when he was his acting seemed a little weak. I think it was when he was drunk. I think that's a very hard thing to pull off.
Yeah.
Is acting drunk.
Yeah.
Because by the end of the movie, I was like, oh no, he's cool. In those earlier scenes. And he also, I guess this is going back to writing again, but he came around real quick.
Yeah.
He was like, what? That's crazy. We're going to die. Oh, you think I'm chicken? Okay, I'll go. That's basically what happened.
Yes. Yeah.
But... Yeah, I don't really have too much else I thought the actors who played the younger versions of Lara Croft were pretty well cast.
Oh, yeah.
It always seems a little bit weird when they cast... Because, she's supposed to be, 23-ish? And then they cast,
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, so then they had, the 16-year-old that didn't look too much like her.
Right,
It's she couldn't look... I feel like if they just, gave her long straight hair, which I guess she kind of already does, but that's usually what they do, and somehow that seems to make people look drastically younger.
Right.
I feel like they could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
But the younger, the little kid... weirdly seems to fit fairly well.
Yeah, I thought, I don't think she had a lot of lines that I can remember.
No, which is the best way to write for kids.
That's true.
Don't give kids a lot of lines. Just saw A Wrinkle in Time. Don't give kids that many lines. It's just... But look-wise, I thought they did a decent job casting.
Yeah.
Well, my total score, probably, it's going to be so much higher than all of yours, but I gave it a 6.7 out of 10.
Oh, I gave it a 6.2.
Oh, there we go.
So, yeah.
All right, so that's going to bring us to the next category, which is going to be lighting. I don't really have a lot to say in this category.
I mean, it was fine.
Exactly.
I don't... There weren't a lot of cinematic moments in this movie that you really can see a scene or a landscape and think, oh, that was beautifully shot.
Yeah.
Just not that kind of movie.
Yeah.
But what was there was fine.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what you would expect from a high-budget Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 5.8 out of 10.
Well, 5.2.
There we go. So
yeah.
And this next category might be more of the same. That's going to be the camera work. It was pretty, a little better than average, especially
Mm-hmm.
during the chase scenes. I thought those were fairly well shot and well handled for as much action as there was.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was fine.
Yeah.
I don't think anything stands out as oh yeah, remember that one shot?
I gave it a 5.8.
Alright, gave it a 6.5. Went a little bit higher.
Okay.
All right, well, that was a quick category. So the next category in the grid is going to be editing and special effects. I'm going to talk about the chase scenes. I thought those were well edited.
Nice. I think when it comes to special effects, this is one of those movies where I think special effects were all over the place, but you didn't necessarily notice them.
For sure.
When she's running through the caverns and things are falling in around her and she's having to jump over chasms, none of that was there, I'm sure, and it was all done by green screen. So, but it was done so well that it would look very convincing.
There were a few shots here and there where it was like, ooh, that's green screen.
Yeah,
but except for as much as I'm sure.
There were a couple of CGI shots at the end where she was dangling.
Yeah.
And whenever you try and CGI a human figure, that's usually when you can tell. And you could tell that Lara Croft was CGI'd in there. It was very brief, but it was noticeable.
Yeah, but overall, it was good.
Yeah. I thought it was well done.
Yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the editing overall. It was mostly the chase scenes and the special effects are pretty much the talking points for the editing, at least for me.
I think so.
I kind of knocked down the continuity and pace category a little bit just because of those flashbacks, which I don't even know how much of that was the editor's fault and how much was the writer or director. There's a lot of things at play.
Yeah.
Which seemed like the order of the flashbacks was wonky. It could have been a very easy editing fix to clarify when he left for good.
Yeah, they should have done either more flashbacks or less flashbacks.
Yeah, they almost could have just done no flashbacks, you know?
Yeah, she could have talked about how her father left her, and that would have been fine. I would have understood.
Right, I mean, we see the scene in the jail or wherever they were, where she says, like, it's been 7 years, we looked, we can't find him.
I guess we needed to establish that relationship, though, to understand that, she liked her father, she missed her father, she wanted to find her father, so.
I suppose, yeah. And also say this, I keep going back to writing, I guess this is backtracking a bit, but I thought it was weird that he's like, okay, I'm going off on this mission, or whatever you want to call it, adventure. Right. There's a good chance I'm going to die. So when that happens, I'm going to leave some puzzles for my teenage daughter to find. She can handle all this. Like, he owned a big corporation. Why didn't he talk to his lawyer? I'm sure he had a million lawyers.
And the puzzle wasn't to solve anything, but to give her the instructions to burn everything.
Exactly. So I guess that's about all I have to say for editing and special effects.
Yep, I can't add any more.
All right.
What did you give it?
7.1 out of 10.
7.1. Okay. I gave it a 6.4.
That brings us to the next category, which is going to be the sound design. I thought the sound overall was really solid. We did see it in an XD theater, which was the first time I had done that. So I've heard the sound is good in those theaters.
Yeah. I thought the sound effects and sound was fine. I gave it a slight downgrade because of the soundtrack. I
did not give that a very high score either.
Yeah. Honestly, I just don't think the music was age appropriate for me. If that makes sense. I just didn't care for the music too much.
Yeah, I actually didn't notice, except in the end credits, I didn't notice the soundtrack too much, which is not usually a great sign either. Yeah. But then even just the score, there were a few times when it worked really well.
Yeah.
But it just seems kind of uninspired and.
Yeah, there were sometimes when you'd hear almost like dun dun dun, and it was like, well, that's predictable.
Right. Yeah. I kind of liked in the trailer. Then I didn't hear it in the movie, and I didn't see it listed in the credits in the movie. But that was it Christina Aguilera's "I'm a Survivor"? Might have been that.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it started off really weird, and I was like, I'm not on board for this. But then by the time I got to the chorus, I'm like, okay, this is an interesting version. I'm kind of digging it. Yeah. So I was curious to see how they were going to use it in the movie, and then they didn't.
So I rated a little bit low on sound, but I think it was because of the music that I gave it. But I gave overall a 4.6. Ooh. I know. I kind of feel bad about that. I don't. It probably doesn't deserve that low a score. But.
I went much higher. I got a 7.3 for me. Yeah. I really mostly just because it did get a hit for the score soundtrack. I wasn't really feeling it. I still gave it a 6. Why did I give it so high? I am too generous. Yeah. But still, I thought the overall sound mix and the sound effects and all that was pretty well done. Yeah.
I think it was one of those categories that I didn't notice anything that was extraordinary. I didn't notice anything that was bad. So
that's fair.
It's okay.
Had we not seen it in the theater we did, I don't think I would have noticed much.
That's true.
Like it was mostly.
That's true.
I was trying to keep an ear out for it because I was like, does this make a difference? That sounds pretty good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the next category in the grid is going to be aesthetics.
So let me tell you how I looked at this particular category.
Okay.
How closely did it match what I saw in the game?
That's fair.
Yeah, I thought it did a really good job.
Okay.
The costuming was right on with what you saw in the game.
Okay.
The props, the little puzzles that she would use is what you would expect to see in the game. And I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure that a lot of those props were actually in the game.
Yeah.
So I thought they did this was my highest scoring category, was the aesthetics, because I thought they stayed so true to what had come before. So.
All right, nice. I hadn't played the game, but I did appreciate that she was not wearing hot pants.
Yeah.
Which I know is also true to the games, just different games.
That's
but
right. Yeah.
That was refreshing. I could see somebody actually doing these things in that outfit.
Yes.
So that was refreshing.
Really? Did you see what she did?
Well, you cannot rock climb in hot pants. That's all I'm saying.
I did like that she used that I guess it's a pick, or it's a mountain climber's pick.
Yeah.
She used that extensively in the game. So that was almost like, because she only really used it at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
But it was a nice nod, I think, to the game.
I could see that becoming, she'll use it more often in other movies, because now...
Well, I'm excited because, they'll probably make another game now, so...
Yeah. I did sort of miss, and I'm sure this is, like you were saying, true to the 2013 game, but I definitely... picture Lara Croft with the iconic braid, which we kind of see at the very end.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
She didn't have the braid.
She didn't have the braid.
Did she have it in the 2013 game?
I can't remember. I think she did. You know why they did this? Has nothing to do with the movie, but you know why they put her in a braid in the game?
Because it's too hard to...
It's too hard to animate hair.
Yeah. I've heard that.
Anyway.
I guess I don't really have anything else to add. I wish I had played the game so I could compare a little better. I thought everything looked good, and I did think that wherever they filmed Croft Manor, that looked
cool.
The way I remember it from even the early 90s, because that's the way I played the early trilogy. And most of what I did was run the obstacle course at Croft Manor, because I was like 6. So I'm like, that actually looks like what I remember.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
And I think the island itself, which I'm sure was all CGI, but it came right out of the game. That whole whole landscape and the rocky shore.
All right. Well, I gave the aesthetics category a 7.8 out of 10.
Oh, I gave it a 7.2.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Very strong category for me.
All right, so that leads us to the next category, which is going to be impact on film. So this one I kind of divide up into critical impact, audience cult impact, and historical inspirational impact. So for critical impact, I just looked up the Metacritic score, which was, I believe, a 4.3, or maybe it was a 4.6. Regardless, I rounded to a 4.5.
Oh, wow.
I kind of thought critics would have liked it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to be having it too much.
I didn't score it based on that. I scored it based on whether I thought this had, critical relevance.
Like in the future, kind of looking back.
Yes.
Okay,
would critics look back on this and say this is that was an important movie?
Okay,
and so because of that, I gave it a fairly low score.
That's fair. Yeah.
So I gave critical impact just a 2.
That seems fair. I really don't think this is the kind of movie that is gonna show up in film textbooks in 20 years or anything.
Right.
As for audience and cult impacts, I gave it a pretty high score for that. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I did look at it. I glanced at a few different websites that give audience scores, and kind of seemed like between the 5 and the 6 was the general consensus. Yeah. But I bumped it up because I think it might have, especially because I'm sure it's going to spawn a franchise. So I think it could get a cult impact over time.
I again gave that a pretty low score, and I'm now feeling bad about that because I think it probably deserves higher than the 4, which is what I gave it.
That's not bad.
I think there may be a cult impact, but I think it's probably a very small minority of viewers that really have an affinity to this character or this game or this genre. So that's why I just felt it was too niche.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. All right, so that brings us to historical and inspirational impact. So this one I probably could have given it a 0, but I gave it a 1.
Well, I gave it a 2, so.
There you go. Yeah. I do feel like because it has a strong female lead, I'm like, all right, it could have some sort of, you know, inspirational impact for particularly younger women watching it.
Sure.
Over time, and I don't know. I don't think anything ever has no impact, so I gave it a 1.
There you go.
Those 3 scores for me averaged out to a 6.5.
Wow. And me, it's a 2.7.
That's fair, though. All right.
Looking back on that, you know, I do feel bad about that because it was a perfectly enjoyable film. And it wasn't like, you know, boy, that really was bad. So
yeah, that's why I like the grid. It's, I don't know, gives a different perspective.
It does. It does.
All right. Well, that brings us to the last category, which is the most fun for exactly that reason.
Yes.
The overall enjoyment.
Overall enjoyment, I gave it a 7.
I gave it a 6.5. I was very aware I was watching a movie that was adapted from a video game.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know exactly. I mean, I know what it's referencing because I played the older games, but I did feel very much so like, oh yeah, if I was playing this, I'd probably die 20 times and then be so excited when I finally jumped across the thing.
Yeah, I thought that too. She's running through and dodging things. I'm remembering, oh yeah, that was a hard level.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it. I like it. I would recommend it to people, especially if you like if you like the adventure genre.
Yes.
Did you give this movie any extra credit?
I gave it a couple of points only because it reminded me of the video game and a video game that I really enjoyed playing. And so I thought it was very fun in that regard.
I just gave it a half point of extra credit, mostly because kind of like we were talking about with her character arc. I did kind of like that she was able to be powerful and you know, kick ass without like, you know, the more physical. I mean, she did definitely by the end of the movie. You see her, she's killing people left and right, she's off bow and arrow and all that. So she does kick ass that way too. But you see her more, you know, just being resilient and just intelligent and getting out of situations that way. Yeah. And it was just nice to see a different type of female action hero, I guess.
Right. I do like that they played up her intelligence.
Yeah.
I think that was a good character quality.
I agree. All right, so what is your, I'm almost scared to ask, what is your total score for Tomb Raider?
Total score is 50.4.
All right, it's on the low side.
It's on the low side, but it's, you know, it's an average, you know, good movie.
65.37.
Okay. Well, I think after talking this through, I probably could bump up some of these numbers, especially like in sound. I really don't think it deserves that low of a score. So I could certainly see how it could deserve a 65.
Yeah. And I could see how it could deserve lower, especially in the writing.
I'm pretty critical of writing. If I see bad writing, I'm all over it.
With the first viewing, I'm picky about what I criticize. And then when I watch it more, it's like, like, I start to see more and more. Like, I'm definitely the kind of, like, I need repeat viewings for writing, especially, just to pick up on everything. Because I tend to just kind of go along for the ride. It's like, well, that was fun. It's like, wait, but... Let's break this down.
Yeah.
All right, so would you recommend this movie to people?
I think so. I think so. If somebody wanted a good, fun movie where it's easy to follow the plot, that's always a good movie for me. I do tend to get lost in some of the more intricate plots. It was fun. It was a fun movie.
I agree.
I would recommend it.
And I would too. I think it harkens back a little bit to like 80s adventure movies. Like, it definitely had like an Indiana Jones kind of feel to it, which was fun. So if you like those kind of movies, that's fun to see.
I think you'll get a kick out of this one.
All right. Well, I guess that is it for the Tomb Raider review. I also posted a review for Wrinkle in Time this week. If you're interested, please check that out. And that's it for now.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. This was fun.
It was fun.
Hey, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe to Griddy Films on YouTube by pressing this button. Also, like and share this video. You can follow Griddy Films on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for new video announcements, entertainment news, fun pics, and more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.